In this video, what I'd like to do is try to explain what we would class as clear water. So everybody understands, like in a swimming pool, for example, the water's crystal clear. You can see the tiles at the bottom of the floor. You can see right through the water. Nothing's disturbing that. It's not discoloured. That's what you would call clear water. Well, it's the same for a swimming pond. What I consider clear water is that you can see through the water and you should even be able to read a label on the pump. That's how clear the water should be. So I've been doing this now for 15 years. We've built well in excess of £25 million worth of ponds. And one of the things I've always promised to clients is that as long as we fit our system on it, the water will be clear. So I want to just have a bit of a chat about the technology that we use to make sure that the water's clear. There's lots of different things we use in a swimming pond, or even in a wildlife pond or in a koi pond, and we use basically some of this system in all of that because this is what helps us get clear water. So specifically for a swimming pond, what we do is we fit on a UV system. So a UV is an ultraviolet light. And basically what it does is, as things come across the bulb, it destroys it at the DNA level. So suspended algae is the algae that turns the water to pea green soup. The UV, what that does is it destroys that as it comes through. The other good things that UVs do is they do things like they kill pathogens, they kill bacteria, they kill things like if E. coli is to pass it, they'll destroy that. So the UVs do so much good in a pond. Now also, they do also kill good bacteria as well as bad bacteria, but that's fine because ultimately with our system is we have a filter next to it which is what stores all the good bacteria. So UV is one thing and it's a really important thing in helping us keeping the water clear. The second way we do that is the filter. So we commonly use Awasa's Screenmatic. So Awasa do lots of different filters. We pretty much fit everything in their range. We're a massive advocate of Awasa. I've worked with them for the whole 15 years I've been going as a business. We deal directly with them, we work with them, and I'd like to think a lot of actually what we've done is help change some of the things they do because they can see us building lots of projects, they can see the kind of quality we deliver. And they've been just a great partner for the company and they continue to be a great partner today. So Awasa do this Screenmatic filter, and the reason why we like it so much as a company is because it's simple. There's nothing overly complicated on it and it gives us the desired result. So the water comes in on the screen. And what the screen does is it thins the water down and it takes away debris that are above 120 micron. So it takes them debris away. It moves it around and puts it into that basket, and that basket wants emptying out maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks, sometimes once a month. It maybe not even doing that much, and literally it's just take the basket and empty it out. So what it does is it stops the big debris getting to the sponges. Now what the sponges do in a swimming pond, which is really important, is they perform the nitrogen cycle. This is where the bacteria lives. So the bacteria lives on this, which turns ammonia to nitrite to nitrate, okay? Now when we turn things to nitrate, this is what plants use as food, okay? It's also what algae uses as food, and I'll come back to that later. But the filter does this job, and this is what, between that and the UV, that's what obviously helps keep the water clear. Now obviously we have to have some way to pump the water to this system, so we use Awasa's Aquamac Eco Expert. For a swimming pond we would use 12 volt. So the reason we use 12 volt is so it's safe to swim with, okay? So what we do is we hide them out of the way, then we put them in areas of the pond that aren't easy to get to, and basically what, in terms of safety, but in terms of maintenance, you can get them out easy enough through the pipe, etc. But what these pumps do great is they are extremely safe, but B, you hardly ever have to touch them, you hardly ever have to take them out. So what they're doing is they're taking the debris from the pond and they're taking it up to the filter. That's what they do. And that's what they do really well, okay? So between them bits of kit, that's what helps create this clear water. There's other important things that make a difference. So I'll briefly go through those. An air pump makes a huge difference. So dissolved oxygen in the water helps us get that water balance, helps us get the water super safe. The other thing that's really important that we do is phosphate management. So phosphate is generally found in tap water, it can also be found in rainwater. It sometimes comes onto runoff and goes into the pond. And phosphate is a food used by blanket weed. So blanket weed uses that. So what we do is we minimise that. So there's two different ways we do it. We do it one with a refill cartridge, so the phosphate FF unit. And the other way we do it is phosphate also do the NFP2 unit, which we attach to a pump, and what that does, it draws water through it. So it pulls the water through, so it's constantly pulling water through, and then what that does is the phosphates stick to that material. So in a 2-year period, you might need to change that material that's inside that phosphate unit, but the reality is by the time that comes around, your phosphate level will be so low, the pond will actually be able to manage it. So it's more of a first 2 years, 3-year thing to get the phosphate level where we need to get it. And generally from a tap, you might get phosphate levels at 2 or 1 or 3 or 4. We've seen them as high as 10. And what we want to get them to is 0.035 parts per million. So actually we want to bring it down right down. So, and we've got a lot of experience of doing that in the projects we've built. We've got it down to that level. What happens then is blanket weed just can't grow. Okay, so by managing the nitrates with the filter, managing the phosphates with the phosphate unit, we're able to actually bring that right down. So that's one element of it. And the phosphate management system is important for lots of different reasons. It's also important for safety. So the UV does its job helping the pond be really safe, but actually bringing down nutrients used for algae to grow and to stop dangerous things like blue algae, for example. And that's also done by circulation of pumps and movement and dissolved oxygen. By making sure all these key things work together, that's how we ensure that the water is safe. So that's how we deal with the phosphate, the dissolved oxygen in the water. Circulation and movement of water is really important. So we make sure that we get a good movement around all of the pond. Now, it's not necessarily something that's visible. You can't exactly see the water being moved around, but it's just about how we place pumps, how we place inlines back into the pond to make sure the movement's right. And that makes a huge difference on water quality. So the skimmer that we fit sits in the gravel area. What this does, it draws water from the top, okay? So we're drawing water from the base of the pond with the pump, but then we also draw water from the top. This actually helps us deliver better clarity of water and also stops things like leaves in the pond. You will get some leaves still in there, but it does reduce it massively, and by reducing it massively reduces silt buildup as well. Now the filter takes care of most silt buildup, but it just helps the filter by removing them at source, and then you've got a basket and you've got a simple way to remove them. And the last thing that we do is we put in a treatment called Optilate. Now Optilate is a natural treatment, it's not a chemical, it doesn't cause any harm, but what it does is it helps buffer up the KH and GH. Now what they are carbonate hardness. Now by buffering them up, what it does is it is able for us to get a stable pH. Now the reason why stable pH is so important is by getting the pH stable, the plants then can take phosphate from the water. Now if the pH isn't stable, the plants aren't able to do that, and that's why plants will generally struggle to grow when the pH isn't correct. So as you can see, there's about 7 or 8 different things that all matter into us getting the water clear. So again, my clear water definition, my guarantee to all our clients is that the water will be crystal clear. You'll even be able to read the label on the pump. That's how clear it'll be. 2 meters down or even further down, you'll be able to read it. That's how clear the water will be. And we're also backed by Awasa's clear water guarantee. So if we do ever have an issue where for some reason, there's some unknown reason, we just can't work it out, why we can't get it clear. This has probably happened in my career 2 or 3 times. Each of them times we got Awasa out and we solved the problem. And every time we solved it, we then integrated that into our new system so that it doesn't happen again. And it's certainly not happened for 2 or 3 years, but if it did, I'm backed by Awasa, who are the biggest pond company worldwide, and a wiser would actually come out to site and they will come and look at it for me, and they've done that for me before. So that's one of the guarantees you get working with a company like us, because we've got such great relationships with all these top pond companies. We're able to use their top expertise to deliver the best swimming experience in your own back garden possible. So I really hope that's been helpful, explaining how the system works, and we look forward to seeing you soon and hopefully you swimming in your own garden. Thank you.